Hey guys, welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. Today it's going to be a cheeky little movie review for Alien Romulus, directed by Fede Alvarez, who we know directed the Evil Dead remake as well as the Don't Breathe movies, which I think is a very interesting combination because when it comes to Alien, it has that mixture of horror and sci-fi elements. Now this takes place between the events of Alien and Aliens. Obviously, that's why I did my watches for the first time of the first two Alien films. I have not seen Prometheus. I've not seen Alien Covenant. I've seen bits of AVP and also Alien Resurrection when I was a lot younger. I haven't seen AVP2. Shit. But I just wanted to brush up on my basic homework and knowledge of the Alien franchise. So I am by no means a hardcore fan. This review is someone who is a casual Alien fan, moviegoer. So it's an interesting take to see how other people will dissect this film who are hardcore Alien fans, because I have a lot of questions at the same time. There were a lot of references that I did get that were from the first film, which I really did appreciate. Even little member berries here and there from Aliens, which is interesting because obviously this takes place before the events of James Cameron's Aliens. Now, like I said, this is set between Alien and Aliens, and the story revolves around a group of young space colonists who, while scavenging on a derelict space station, come face to face with a xenomorph and other inhabitants. And of course, hijinks ensue. Now, when I heard that Fede Alvarez was attached to this, and I hadn't even watched the original Alien films yet, I thought that's quite interesting. I thought that's quite intriguing. I really love his Evil Dead remake. I think it's severely underrated, and I also love the Don't Breathe films. So injecting this knowledge of horror from him as a director into the franchise to give it something a bit different, but also keeping with the horror sci-fi elements, I think is quite intriguing. And my first initial thoughts on this film, I thought it was fucking solid. Granted, again, I'm not a hardcore Alien fan. This caters more to the general Alien going audience that have seen a few films here and there, or are just not up to scratch with the full mythology of the xenomorphs and everything else that revolves around them. I think one of the biggest things with these Alien films and what makes them so good is the chemistry of the human characters, and sometimes the human meets act. And in this case, I think the performances all around were damn good. But for me, the MVP of this film is David Johnson as Andy. I had a lot of pathos for him. I think he did an incredible job, and you kind of feel for him. Your heart goes out for him as a character, and I think he was definitely the standout, and like I said, the heart of the film. Now, when it comes to the tone of this film, I really think Fede Alvarez, who co-wrote this, the cast, the crew, they knew going into this that this takes place in a pocket between two very famous and very well-loved and well-received sci-fi / horror films. So they had to get the tone just right. And I think they just got there. There are elements, whether it be the score, the set design, the use of practical sets. These sets look like they extend forever and they look practical. Of course, there'd be some set extensions, some CGI, some additional pieces thrown in here and there, but to me, it's seamless, and the CGI complements the practical so well. And then also the use of a full animatronic xenomorph just takes me back to the old school, like Savini, Rick Baker, Stan Winston days. And so I think that's what helps with the tone of this film being on par with Alien and Aliens. And also the score. The score was quite a nice little homage to part 1, part 2, whilst doing its own thing at the same time, where it leans more into the horror with a lot of gothic drones and booms that really put that sound system to the test. And I was in a VMAX cinema, and I was so fucking glad I wasn't in the one below where it's the shithouse cinemas. You need a VMAX or an IMAX for this experience. There are a few instances in the film where I think it relies a bit too much on what came before it and what will come after it in terms of member berries, throwbacks, a bit of nostalgia. And there's nothing usually wrong with that. There are just some instances where it kind of takes you out of the experience. You're like, oh, okay, all right, you did that, no worries. And there is something where I wouldn't say the CGI is janky, but I feel like it is definitely deliberate. But there definitely was a choice when it came to the CGI of something in this film. Now, when it comes to the climax of the film, it's great. That's when the action really ramps up. But before that, the pacing is a very slow burn. It relies on that body horror, which I think Fede Alvarez is brilliant at, and that's why he injects that extra bit of horror and gore into this film. I would have loved to have seen more xenomorph action. They definitely are kept in the shadows a bit more, which there's nothing wrong with that. They did that in the first film. But when it comes to the fact that they designed and fabricated these as animatronics, old school animatronics, but with updated tech, you got to have them front and center and give them a bit more screen time. Let them stalk the characters a little bit more. There is a choice that is made at the climax of this film. And again, I am not adverse all over with the mythology of the xenomorphs, the aliens, just the whole world in general. And then there is a choice, something happens, and I feel like it may divide hardcore fans. Some people will love it, some people just may not be on board with it. I'm definitely interested to hear people's thoughts who are hardcore Alien franchise fans. You know who you are, and you can shoot me a message. Obviously, I don't want there to be too many spoilers in the comment sections. It's the Wild West sometimes, guys, down there, so enter at your own risk. That's what she said. So guys, in the end, despite not seeing all of the Alien films in the franchise, obviously seeing Alien and Aliens just to get up to scratch with my homework and everything that comes within this little pocket of time that this film takes place, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Member berries aside that got a little bit too on the nose, I still think this is a fantastic entry in something that takes place in between two very beloved films. I think Fede Alvarez as a director and writer for this film was a great choice. Again, he injects that body horror. The gore isn't too heavy-handed, but when it happens quick and then it's done. I definitely would have loved to have seen more screen time with the Xenos, a bit more stalking, but the horror elements are definitely there, and then the action ramps up at the end, so you get the best of both worlds, like from Alien and Aliens. Again, very interested to hear people's thoughts once the movie's done the rounds on the ending, and especially when it comes to hardcore fans. What are your thoughts on that? And with that, I'm going to be giving Alien Romulus 4 phallic-looking popcorn buckets out of 5. And yes, they use the Reeboks and the Connies in this again, keeping with the theme of Alien and Aliens. I love it. Love you guts, and I'll catch you in the next one.